Greetings, college prep scholars. Today we will practice using the Desmos graphing calculator to solve SAT questions like this one. You can find this one on the back of the slope worksheet, or you can work from the slides, the agenda slides that are in Schoology. So, if you bump into an SAT question that has a graph, and the question reads, which equation could represent the graph shown in the XY plane, or something similar, and then your answer choices are equations, one way to solve them is by using the graphing calculator. There are other ways, but if you're not sure what to do, the graphing calculator is a really good tool to fall back on. So we are going to be using the Desmos graphing calculator. Your next step is to go to it. So let's go ahead and get into our Desmos graphing calculator. You can find it by searching in Google Desmos, D-E-S-M-O-S, SAT graphing calculator, or just by going to the link in Schoology. This is the calculator you will have access to on the SAT. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug each of these equations into the graphing calculator and see if it gives us a graph that looks like this. The first step is to make sure that the graph in the Desmos calculator has the same range for the X and Y axes as the graph that is given on the SAT, because that is one technique they could use to trap you. So notice that your X-axis goes from -12 to +12. Notice that your Y-axis, sorry about that, also goes from -12 to +12. You want to plug those numbers into the SAT graphing calculator, the Desmos graphing calculator, to make sure that you have exactly the same range represented on your screen. So go ahead and go back into the calculator. Click on the little tools icon. Let me show you where it is. It's up here in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and it looks like a wrench. You're going to click on that, and then it is going to open up a screen which will show you different things you can do with the settings of the graphing calculator. So then I want you to go ahead and go to the parts of that little screen that are labeled X-axis, let's do yellow for X, and then Y-axis, we'll do green for Y. What you have to do is you have to change these numbers to be exactly the same as what is in the SAT question. So in other words, those numbers have to be -12 to +12. So let's go ahead and make those changes. We're just going to delete what we've got here, and we're going to put in -12 for the X-axis, delete, +12. Same thing for the Y-axis. We're going to do -12 and +12. So now we have, if we click on our tool icons, that'll go away. Now what we see on our Desmos screen is the same as what the question looks like. Okay, the next step is actually to put in those equations. Let me see if I can split screen. You can do this by looking at your worksheet if you are in class. So over here on the left side of the Desmos calculator is your expression field or your equation field. We're going to start by putting in answer choice A, and we're going to see if that gives us a graph that looks like the graph in the question. So answer choice A is going to be Y equals 1 divided by 2. That's going to give us a fraction. Then we have to put our cursor beside the fraction, put in our X. You can do this on the keyboard if you're working off of a laptop. Minus 4. And let's see if that gives us a graph that looks like the graph in the picture. So if we switch over to the SAT question for a moment, let's compare the line that we see on the graph in the SAT question with the line that we see in Desmos when it's full screen. So we can see we have a slope that's kind of steep. It looks like a slope of 4/2 or 2/1. And we see that the line is passing to the right of the origin. Let's go back to the full screen Desmos. You can see just by looking at it that the slope of a line in the Desmos graph is way less steep. It is a smaller slope than the slope that is shown in the SAT question, which means we can eliminate POE, answer choice A. Now we're going to go back to our Desmos calculator and put in the next equation and see what happens. You can add another field if you want to compare them, or you can erase the first one and start over. So let's do y equals 2x plus 4 and see what we get. So now we have our second graph, the blue line, for answer choice B. It is more similar to the graph in the question, but it is not the same. Notice that the blue line passes to the left side of the 0, the origin point, but in the SAT question graph, the line passes to the right of the 0, the origin point. So they are not the same graph, which means that we can therefore use POE and cross out answer choice number 2. So let's take a look at answer choice number 3 and plug that into the graph as well. We can get rid of these just so that we know those are wrong answers. So let's go ahead and plug in equation number 3. Y equals 1 divided by 2 x plus 4. Okay, let's take a look at our graph. Oops. See what we got. So again, we have a slope in our green line, which is different from the slope in the SAT question. We also see that this line also passes to the left of the 0 point, the origin point, whereas the line in the SAT question is passing to the right of the 0 point, the origin point. So that cannot be the right answer. At this point, we could just do POE, and we have already knocked out that third answer choice. If you were taking the SAT, you could just pick answer D, and you would know that that would be your correct answer because you've eliminated the rest. However, let's just put in equation D and see what we get. Y equals 2x minus 4. Let's take a look. So we have a line with a slope that's more similar. My Desmos graph is squished, so the slope is a little bit off. We'll take a look at it full screen in a minute. But we can see that our purple line passes to the right of the origin. That's the 0 point, the origin, just like our line in our question. We can see that the slope looks really similar. It looks like we can see that our y-intercept and our x-intercept are the same. Let's go ahead and make this full screen just to look at the slope. So if we take a look at the Desmos calculator, if we have the question right beside it, we can see that this purple line matches the graph in the SAT question exactly. So again, if you are working from home, I want you to work through this yourself and screenshot each step that you take and upload your screenshots to Schoology so that I can see that you did it. And then if you are in class, I just want you to let me know when you're finished so I can take a look at your finished screen and put in points for your question. Your next step is going to be to go back to your practice test. What I will want you to do is to find a question from your practice test that you can use the Desmos calculator to solve. Page through it. Just like when you're taking the actual SAT and looking for problems you can solve with the Desmos calculator, you're going to find a question that's going to ask you exactly the same thing. Which equation could represent the graph shown in the xy plane? The equations are more complicated, but you can use the exact same technique to solve them. If you're working from home, screenshot the steps of the process and turn them in. If you are in class with me, I just want to see you working through the problem in class.